Wellness morning. Good morning. Namaskar. Vanakkam to all of you. Wellness is your birthright. You must be aware of your right before you can claim it. And he is making everyone aware of the birthright that you are born to be well. In creation, everything is perfect. The universe, not only planet Earth is a small segment of the entire universe. Everything is perfect in creation. Everything moves in perfect harmony. We don't know when it started, but it's created to be there forever because we don't know the sense of timing. Created to be in perfect harmony, created to be in perfect wellness, created to last forever. See the millions of planets, we don't know the number still, exploring, moving at mind-boggling speed, all in prescribed orbits. They are so huge, but they move in the prescribed orbits. There is a course for them, the timing, everything is done. They never collide. It's going on. Same thing with seasons. Same thing with night and day. But what we see today, the disturbances about which Professor Peter, also Dr. Kirti Singh also mentioned, Dr. Yugandhar also mentioned, why is it today the way it is, whether it's Iraq or Libya or what happened in Japan or Hiroshima, Nagasaki earlier in the World War II, September 11 in America, 26/11 in Mumbai, attack on Parliament. You see a number of man-made disasters and so-called natural disasters are also man-made actually. Man-made disasters are immediately we can see the cause and effect. There's a bomb explosion, loss, death, disturbance, everything. But the natural disasters also because of what man has been doing out of his ego, greed, and fanaticism. All those nuclear explosions, experiments they are doing under the water, above the surface. In the name of modernization, globalization, we have been digging deep into the Mother Earth, bringing out oil and other things. Burning coal and petroleum products for which, thousands and thousands of years have taken to form them by natural process. We want to exhaust everything in one's lifetime. All these are the causes of the systems we call earthquake, tsunami, and whatever it is. The nuclear power is there, but nuclear explosions have caused so much of destruction, damage. Now the very nuclear power, which was giving them all comforts and convenience in Japan, is causing so much of destruction and causing fear all over the world. See, the world is only one unit. The planet, the universe is one. The planet is only one unit. We are all interconnected, interrelated, interdependent. We don't realize it very often. Like the body, parts of the body, all the parts of the body they depend on each other. An injury caused to your little finger affects the whole body. You get the pain, you get fever. Like that, any damage done to any part of the planet affects the whole planet. So when we talk about wellness of the body, every part of the body has to be taken care of. Same thing, when you talk of the globe as a whole, planet as a whole, we have to ensure that no damage is done to any part of the planet. Now, in case there is a nuclear explosion in the affected areas in Japan, is it going to be within the confines of Japan? No. All the neighboring countries are scared. They are taking precautions. It can go all over. So the same way, the thoughts also, our thoughts are powerful. The positive thoughts you have seen yesterday evening and this morning after the meditation, how powerful and peaceful, how elevated we all feel in this hall because of the good thoughts. A few minutes of positive thoughts created this entire atmosphere of healing. What happens here is not only a conference, indirectly you are feeling the effect of healing. You are getting better, you are getting elevated. The same way negative thoughts of greed and ego and jealousy, all these things, within the body you realize it. On the day now, today, after this, you feel so great. Suppose you are all the time worried about ego and greed and jealousy and anger, you feel run down in no time. So you want to create a world of wellness. It has to, of course, start with an individual. But first we have to create harmony between the body, mind and soul. All the other aspects of wellness, as Professor Peter pointed out, have to be taken care of. Then that, once I am all right, the world will be all right, the family will be all right. It starts with me as an individual. They see, the family sees when there is a transformation in you, the change in your attitude. You have been coming to Noni, either go and work in the Noni organization where you start the day with prayers and meditation. And then the work culture, respecting for each other, respecting for others. You know the wellness, your wellness means also the others' wellness. Then when you go home, after a few days, within the family, your relations feel, what is the change I am able to see in this person? So they may come to know, either you start a spiritual movement or you start a Noni movement, and the family transforms. There is a harmony in the family, peace in the family, love in the family. Then such families become nucleus of the society. Others, neighbors see what is, then they also go into the same thing, whether it's going to the church or temple or gurudwara or mosque, or go to spiritual movements, whatever it is. Ultimately, they adapt some spiritual path of life. Spirituality, all religions ultimately, basically, they mean the same thing. I would see that now most of the damages that are being done is in the name of protecting the religion, protecting God. No God wants to be protected by indulging in violence. I will just see, all the religions say the same thing ultimately. You are born in a religion, by all means be sincere, true. But don't start hating others. There are different ways of living. But ultimately the goal is the same. Whatever is painful to oneself is painful to all beings. This is the golden rule which finds expression in the religious literatures of the world. I'll just give you one line from each of the religions. Mahabharata said, this is the sum of duty. Do not unto others which would cause you pain if done to you. If something is going to cause pain to me, some harsh word from somebody, the same thing will cause to others. So don't do it to others what will cause pain if done to you. Buddhism says, hurt not others in ways that you yourself would find hurtful. Jainism says, in happiness and suffering, in joy and grief, we should regard all creatures as we regard our own self. Zoroastrianism says that nature only is good when it shall not do unto another whatever is not good for its own self. Confucius says, do not unto others what you would not have them unto you. Almost same words sometimes. Islam says, no one of you is a believer until he desires for his brother that which he desires for himself. Judaism says, what is hateful to you, do not to your fellow men, that is the law. All the rest is only commentary. Christianity says, all things whatsoever you would that men do to you, do you even so to them. That says in scriptures say, Paropakaraya punyaya papaya parapidanam. That is, help to others brings merit. Helping others brings merit. Violence or injury to others brings forth sin. Adi Shankaracharya, in his Prasottara Ratnamalika, raises the question, what is the most glorious of the desirable things in a human being? He says, what is the most glorious of the desirable things in any human being? And he also answers, life consecrated to the well-being of one and all. He says that life that is dedicated to the well-being of one and all is the most glorious of the desirable things of man. That's what Professor Peter has adopted as his philosophy in his life. That is doing good to others. And the Confucius, is accepted as the wisest of the philosophers. He says, if there is righteousness in the heart, essence of all religion, spirituality is this, ultimately. Whether you go to church, temple, mosque, gurudwara, or you don't go at all, or you don't believe in anything, if you follow this, that's good enough. If there is righteousness in the heart, there will be beauty in the character. If there is beauty in the character, there will be harmony in the home. If there is harmony in the home, there will be order in the nation. If there be order in the nation, there will be peace in the world. He says, that's all, you have to do it, nothing else. But why there is so much of ego? Most of our problems are because of ego. Ego, greed. What happens in Libya, Afghanistan, anywhere else you can trace it to either an individual or a group of people's ego and greed, jealousy, of course, or religious fanaticism. I told you there is no scope for fanaticism because all the religions are equally valid. These religions came into being at different points of time and different places, depending upon the historical necessity. Some great master came representing the divine and show the correct path to the people. Now, greed and ego, what is there to be greed and ego? All our lifetimes are short. As it said, death, one day you are going to face death in any case. Of course, that is not to be feared. As they say, like the birth, death is also another process. We have to be mature enough to welcome it. It gave you shock for the time being, but ultimately everyone has to go. That's for restoration of life or innovation of life, or for the soul, for their journey, depending upon your belief. Whether you believe it or not, it is going to happen to us. Very short time. Even if you are healthy, even then, the maximum life, normally an average life, is 100 years maybe. Japan, they say the largest number of long living people are there, 130, 125 and all that. Say about 100 years you take it. What is 100 years? If you see the time factor, millions and millions, we don't know where it started. We don't know how long it will go on. 100 years is like a second. The time clock, it is just like a second. And what is that? It's so transient, uncertain. What is there for us to be so greedy and feel powerful and arrogant? Everybody has to like a fly. The time is like this. And what are you? You are nothing. You are like a minutest. If you see the universe is so big, what's a human being? Even to the most microscopic, you will not be seen somewhere from the space. So what is there to be for us to be arrogant? What is there for arrogant to be greed? Why want rob what that is belong to others? Why the need for it to be corrupt? So much, this country is full of scams today. I want to ask this question, how long are you going to live, each one of you? Why do you want to create illegal wealth, corrupt money for your 7 generations, children, grandchildren and all that? Too much of money, undeserved money, that too looted money will ruin the children. Their children will think there is no need for them to do anything in life, because somebody has looted the nation and kept for them. And you see naturally the law of nature, invariably the children or grandchildren suffer a lot. That's why wise men like Bill Gates and Warren Buffett, the richest people in the world, they are the richest in the world, but they don't want to keep more than 10% of their wealth to their children. 90%, they continue to earn even today. They earn, they give it to the less and for less fortunate people, deserving people, not only in their own country, anywhere in the planet. They don't belong to the religion, they don't belong to the color. They say anybody, any human being on the planet who is suffering must be helped, whether it's for AIDS or feeding or education. See, that type of thoughts come to such people. They are the people, I call them the most spiritual people. They may not become great bridge masters, but see the largeness of the heart. They say too much of money in the hands of the children will ruin them. So they want their children to lead a middle class life, work hard, and earn their own future. And fortunately, they are coming and advising our people. We also have some good families, they have been doing this quietly, without much of publicity. Like for example, Tamil Nadu alone, if you take the TVS family, they have been doing it for a long, long time, quietly doing it without publicity. Now Warren Buffett and Bill Gates are going to come and motivating our own wealthy people. There are a lot of billionaires in our country. They say part of your wealth, give it to those who are less fortunate. That is real spirituality, and I'm sure you belong to the Noni family in your own way. You are helping people. I would say that at least 10% of what we earn should be given to people who are less fortunate than us. And once you are comfortable, at least take care of one family who is less fortunate than us. There are, the statistics vary, but at least about 50% of the population in our country, developing country, are above poverty line. 50% below poverty line. They vary. Sometimes they say government statistics vary, World Bank's, WHO's vary. But at least these 50% above poverty line are comfortable people. Easy for each one of us who are above the poverty line. Take care of at least one person. I'm not talking about the family. One person, if you do that, sincerely do that, there is no poverty in this country. So don't expect the government alone to do everything. Government may do something, may not do it, but not as corporate social responsibility, as personal social responsibility, as our moral duty. At least those belonging to the Noni family, I'm sure you are doing it. You take a vow, I'll take care of one person. One poor person will be educated by me. See, you are bringing about. Otherwise, in our own interest, I tell people in Bombay, when I address them, I said, 50% of the population of Bombay are in slums. They say now it has gone to 67%. Anyhow, even granting. I tell them, those 50% you have to take care, only because of our moral duty, ethical duty to see to it, our own brothers and sisters, because unfortunately born in poor families, they should not lead a life below that of an average animal. That's what is happening. They don't have bathroom facilities, they don't have a place to live, 5-6 people in a small hut, no access to basic health also. I said, if not because of altruistic motives, at least your own self-interest. Imagine this 50% in the slum becomes 75%. I said, you are not safe. Because 75% of the people live in subhuman conditions, there will be resent. They will be angry with those who are better off. They think they are responsible for putting them into this condition. So please do it, ensure that, I don't say you distribute the wealth equally. Minimum standards of living, 2 square meals a day, roof over the head, access to basic health, a job to do. This is the duty of the entire society. Society means each one of them to do it. See, our country has a great traditions. You see the ancient scriptures. In between all these distortions came in because of, I said, ego, self, and all that. Vasudeva Kutumbakam. It said, our scriptures 3,000, 4,000 years back said the whole world is one family. Ekam Sat Vipra Bhagada Vadanti. The reality is one God. The wise people call it by many names, but all the same, there is only one ultimately. So don't fight on the basis of religion or because you are born in different caste or religion. Sarva Dharma Samabhav. equal respect for all religion. This is prescribed by our ancient scriptures. This is not a new dharma we are preaching about. This is the ancient tradition. We have lost it in between. All the time fighting on the bed of religion or the caste. It's sheer madness. So, as I said, we are all interconnected. So, then also, everything is not created by man. That is our arrogance. Human beings think everything is created to be exploited by human beings. No. Everything that is created in the universe has a purpose. The Creator has done that. You and I may not know the purpose. That doesn't mean they can be destroyed. And because of this arrogant ignorance, we have destroyed our forests. With the result, global warming is taking place. The seawater is rising. The climate change, all this, the glaciers in the Himalayas are melting faster. So with the result, if we do not realize it, that everything is, nature is created for a purpose, we are interconnected, interrelated, interdependent. We can only use what is available only to the extent we need it, not overexploit it. If we do that, our own children and grandchildren for whom we are accumulating wealth, they will curse us telling this generation, selfish generation, they have polluted the air, they have polluted the water, they will curse us. So we have to become more responsible, environmental aspect of wellness. And each one of us, as I mentioned to you, our thoughts are very powerful. They say, even when a leaf falls from the tree, they say the entire planet trembles. The vibration, we are all nothing but ultimately vibration. Even when the leaf falls, you may not realize it. But it affects so good and bad things, good and bad thoughts of individuals also, not only affect the family, the society, the nation as a whole. Even in Tamil, we said, Yadum Ure Yavarum Kelir. That is, every place is my place. Everyone is related to me. If he is related to me, how can he think harm to anybody else or hate somebody else? And also it says, Teedum Nandrum Pirar Taravara. That is, your merit, your goodness or difficulty. Teedu means the wrong to you. Nandru means good thing. Good things and bad things happen to you, not because of others, because of each one of us. We make our own life, heaven or hell, depending upon our own attitude and thought. We are the makers of our destiny. So, one thought can easily be powerful. One man's thought, Hitler, what happened do you know? Another one man, Mahatma Gandhi, what happened do you know? Hitler is condemned. Now the whole universe calls Mahatma Gandhi the man of the century. Everywhere, even Obama says, I am president because of Mahatma Gandhi. President Barack Obama said, when he came, it is because of Mahatma Gandhi and his philosophy ultimately made it possible like me to become president of America. So the time has come. This is the time, this is an age for dialogue and not for confrontation. We will have our disputes as long as thinking human beings are there, there will be differences. There are differences in our own thoughts. Morning we think of something, afternoon something, evening something. Between the husband, wife, father and children, mother and children. See, all these differences with neighbors, workplace, between the boss and subordinate, all the differences will always come. But the thing is, no confrontation, dialogue. Give respect to other points of view. If you think I have the monopoly of all wisdom in the world, then you will have confrontation with you and with everybody else. So have patience, respect others also. I will only, this Dalai Lama, he said, somebody asked Dalai Lama, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, how is it you are able to relate to everybody in the world? Wherever he goes, black, white, educated, uneducated, everything, he will, warmly shake hands and as if he knows him. He said, when I meet a person, I feel I have already known him. If I don't meet a stranger, he said. When I meet a person, human being, I feel I have already known him, so I am able to relate to him. That is the. So that's again the concept of oneness is wellness. You feel one to the other, then you feel good. So let that Professor Noni has given a new mantra with Master Shah. Of course, much before that he says, I love you, I love you. You have to feel it very strange. He said all the time, I love you and all that in the morning. But it has a meaning, you know. You keep repeating it. Why do you repeat a mantra? You may not understand it. The vibration has an impact on you. In any religion, there are mantras, chanting goes on. So he has given the mantra of I love you, I love my family, I love everybody, then I love my heart and soul, I love all humanity. When you love all humanity, what happens? Then you join the hearts and souls that creates love in me, that results in peace, that results in perfect harmony, that saves humanity from self-destruction and creates a new world of wellness about which Professor Peter has been not only dreaming, he has been working for, and I am very confident knowing by the commitment he has got, the energy he has got, and also he has been surrounded by a lot of good people. They have become good by association with this great spiritual movement. With these few words, I am very happy to inaugurate this World Congress. Namaskar.